Hey, good morning, everybody. Hello. Hello. Is clear? Hello. Please respond. Anybody? Hello. Is audible? Hello. Is audible my voice? Is it clear? Hello. Hello. Okay. So, good morning, everybody. So today we discuss the.
Good morning, sir. Good morning.
Good morning. Is clear my voice?
Yes, sir. Clear, clear.
Thank you. So in our sixth semester syllabus, here 4 blocks are there. So from that 4 blocks, here the first one is the plant physiology and biochemistry. So in this block is consist 3 units are there. That is the first one is the water plant relations, some minerals. What are the micro minerals are here discussed in unit 2. And third one is the some enzymes we discussed. Okay. So enzymes, the classification and activities, principles, characters we discuss in the third unit. And the second block, here the photosynthesis. Main topic is the photosynthesis that is discussed in the block second. So in that block second is also consist 3 units are there. That is the fourth one is the photosynthesis. We discussed that one. Okay. And fifth one is the carbon assimilation pathway. So after the photosynthesis, the sucrose or carbohydrates and formed in the ATP. Here discussed in that one. The sixth unit is the translocation of the solute. Here sixth one we discussed that one. And the third block here respiration. The seventh unit is the respiration. We discussed that one after the formation of the ATP and to release it in the energy. Okay, after the glucose and involved in the respiration to release the ATP, that is the energy, it is released. So we discussed that one, respiration here discussed. And eighth unit is the nitrogen metabolism. How the nitrogen fits into the soil, we discussed that one. Here nitrogen metabolism. And the ninth one is the plant growth. And some growth regulatory hormones here discussed the dormancy and also discussed in this one. And fourth block, that is the last one, is the fourth block is consists of ecology. So that is the ecosystem and discussed in the 10th unit. And 11th one is the ecological successions. So how the pyramids will be formed in the ecosystem only. We discussed that one. Ecosystem, what is the composition of the ecosystem? We discussed that one. And last unit is the environmental pollution. So soil pollution, water pollution, what is the cause of these pollution and how to control the pollution, we have discussed that one in the 12th unit, that one. Okay. So today we discuss the water plant relation. So how the relation between the plant and water, their impact, we discuss that one. Okay. So this is clear? Is audible my voice? Hello? Is clear? Anybody? Is it audible? Okay. So, Andy, The water potential is a concept fundamental to understand the water movement. So that is the solute potential means psi s, that is the solute potential we describe in the symbol of psi s, and pressure potential, that is the phi p. They are described this one. There are two main components that determine the water potential. What are the main components? Means solute potential and pressure potential. This is essential components to discuss about the water potential. Okay, so the water potential is denoted by the Greek symbol, that is the pi. So okay, so that is the pi is there. Mm, in the uh, okay, so Pascals are present. Okay, some discuss that one. Wait. Okay. So this water potential of the pure water is standard temperature. So mainly we discussed all living organisms, you know that. So that is the require free energy to growth and to reproduce. These free energies represent the potential to do work. You know that. The free energy of water is referred as the water potential. The water potential is also defined as the chemical potential of water. Pure water potential, the value is the zero. Always the pure water potential is always in the zero only. We discussed that one. The two factors to contribute the cell water potential, they are the osmotic potential and solute potential, pressure potential. This is the solute potential means the solutes is dissolved in the solution. The solution has favor free water and the concentration of the water decreases. As a result, is reducing the water potential. Okay. So the solute potential value became the negative. Always it is in negative only. So the pressure potential. If the solvents is dissolved in the pure water, the water potential will be increased. It is equal or to pumping the water in the one place to another. This is the pressure potential. What is the osmosis? Here, you know that one osmosis, the movement of the solutes molecule from a one region of the higher concentration to lower concentration. Okay, where the high concentration is there, that the solutes are movement to the higher to lower through semi-permeable membrane. That one we call as that process is called as osmosis. Okay, through semi-permeable membrane only. That one is the here. Okay. Madam? What is the importance of osmosis here? The osmosis is the filtrate the observe the water. Okay, that is the observe the water and observe the water. And the second one is the cell to cell movement of the water is also affected by the osmosis. From high concentration to the low concentration, the water will be moves. Okay, so in the next one is it improves the resistant power to water, stress, and snow. Also, it control the opening and closing of the stomata. Is also involved in the osmosis. And another application is the dehiscence of the fruit and sporangia by the osmosis only. So we discussed the experiment is there by the thistle funnel experiment. That one we call as a here to explain the osmosis experiment. So another one is the plasmolysis. What is the plasmolysis here? Which is the behavior of the plant cells. Okay, see here the behavior of the plant cells with is regard to the water movement depending on the surrounding solutions. If the external solution balance of osmotic pressure of the cytoplasm, it is said to be isotonic solution. Equal to, that is the isotonic. If the external solution is more diluted than the cytoplasm, that one we call as a hypotonic solution. Either the external solution is more concentrated, that is the hypotonic solution. The cell will be swell in the hypotonic solution and shrinking in the hypotonic solution. The plasmolysis occurs when the water moves from the out of the cell wall, from the cell to and through the cell membrane. This is occurs when the cell is tissues in place in the solution is the hypotonic solution to the protoplasm. So water moves from outside the first from the cytoplasm, then the form of the form a vacuole-like structures are there. Okay. So the water when drawn outside of the cell through the diffusion into the extracellular fluid causes to protoplast to shrinkage of the protoplast. It is leading to the separation of the plasma membrane from the cell wall in the corner. See here this one, hypotonic solution and hypertonic solution. This stage we call it the incipient plasmolysis. Initial stage is there. That one we call as the incipient plasmolysis. When the cell is left in the hypertonic solution for the more time, the protoplasm completely shrinks, wherein the cell is said to the plasmolyzed cell. The movement of the water occurs across the membrane said to be plasmolyzed. The movement of the water occur across the membrane moving from the area of high water potential to an area of the low water potential. That one we call as that process is called as plasmolysis. When the cells is placed in the isotonic solution, there is no net flow for the water towards the inside and outside. Isotonic solution means equal potential of the water is there. That's why there is no any movement in the water. It means solutes. The external solution balanced through the osmotic pressure by the cytoplasm. Hence, it is said as the isotonic condition, such both are the start in equilibrium. So the water movement is always in zero when isotonic solutions, where the process of plasmolysis is usually irreversible. When the cell is placed into the hypotonic solution, um, so that is the irreversible processes occur. The water diffuses into the cell, causing the cytoplasm to build up the pressure against the wall. This is called as a turgor pressure. The pressure is expected by the protoplast to the entry of the water against the rigid cell wall called the pressure potential. So next topic is the imbibition. Imbibition. So this is another type of the diffusion when the water is absorbed by the solid colloids and causing them to enormously increase in the volume, means increase in their size. So that is the different types of the organic substances, different emission capacities are occur. Where in pea seeds, silent more are emission than the weed seeds, wheat seeds. Pea seeds are more silent than compared to wheat seeds in the process of imbibition. So imbibition is a type of diffusion since the water moves along with the concentration of the gradient. The seeds and other such material have almost no water, so hence they are absorbed easily. The water potential gradient between the absorbent and the liquid imbibitant is essential for the imbibition. In the addition, for more substances, the imbibe any liquid, affinity between the absorbent and the liquid is also prerequisite. So the next one is the absorption of the water. So in this one, two pathways are there.
Depends on
Okay. Two types of the pathways are there. That is the apoplast and symplast pathways. Okay. So apoplast and symplast pathways are there. Here, what is the apoplast and what is the symplast pathway? We discussed that. So apoplast pathway. So the apoplast is the system of adjacent cells walls in the continuous throughout the plant, except at the Casparian strips of the endodermis in the root. So apoplast means the continuous throughout the adjacent cells of the plant cells. The apoplast movement of the water occurs exclusively through the intracellular space of the cell walls of the cell. Cell walls means the movement through the apoplast does not involve crossing the cell membrane. This movement is depending on the gradient only. Okay, through the cell walls only. So as the water evaporates into the intracellular space or atmosphere, tension develops in the continuous streams of the water in the apoplast. Hence, the mass flow of the water across due to the adhesive and cohesive properties of the water. Depending on these adhesive and cohesive Most of the water flows in roots occur via the apoplast since the cortical cells are loosely packed. Okay. So hence the offer no resistance to the water movement. However, the inner boundary of the cortex and endodermis is the interprevious to water because the bond of the subsidiary matrix called the Casparian phase. So the water molecules are unable to penetrate to the layer, so they are directly directed to the wall region that are not stabilized into the cells proper through the cell membrane. The water then move through the symplast and again cross a membrane to reach the cells of the xylem tissues. The movement of the water through the root layers is ultimately symplastic in the endodermis. So this is only way to water and other solutes can enter into the vascular system. Okay, then enter into the between the cell walls through the means xylem vessels and tracheids are there. These are the non-living conducting tissues, which is the apart in the apoplast system. So that is the we can discuss that. Okay. So in mycorrhizae, a symbiotic association, the fungus with the root system, we know that one, that is the fungal filament either on the network around the young root or penetrating the root cells. The IFA have very large surface around the absorb the minerals and micronutrients and water form from the soil. So which is from such a larger volume of the soil, then perhaps the root cannot there do this work. The fungus provides the mineral and water to the roots. In turn, to the roots provide sugars and non-content components to the mycorrhizae. There is a symbiotic relation is there between the mycorrhizae and the root system, like this one. So, and accent of the sap. So, this accent of sap mechanism, they discuss the cohesion tension theory. So, cohesion tension theory is explained by the Dixon and Jelly. This one is see here. So, this one is the reported by the Dixon and Jelly in 1894. So, strong cohesion force or tension strength of the water here. The water molecule have strong mutual force of the attraction called cohesion force. Cohesion force means between the water molecule they have the strong forces are there, due to the which of cannot be easily separated from each other. So this attraction between the water molecule and the wall of the xylem elements called addition between the water molecule and cells of the xylem element. That attraction or that affection is called as addition forces are there. Cohesion means within the water, addition means water with the xylem elements. These cohesions and adhesive forces work together to form the unbroken continuous water column in the xylem element. So this is the magnitude of the cohesion force in around the 350 more height meters. They can more enough to the extent of the tallest trees. They are continuous to observe the water based on these cohesions and additive uh, addition forces. Next one is the continuity of the water column in the plant. An important factor which can break in the water column is introduced for the air bubbles in the xylem. So gas bubbles are expanding the and displacing the water within the xylem elements is called as a cavitation or embolism. some air bubbles are formed in the cavity. So that one we call as the embolism. So next one is the transpiration pool or tension in the unbroken water column. So this is the unbroken water column from the leaf to root. It is just like a roof. If the roof is pulled from the tap, the entire roof will be moved upward. So this is the plant such as fluid generally by the process of transpiration, that known as the transpiration pool. Transpiration pool, we call that one. The water vapor evaporates from the mesophyll cells into the intercellular space near the stomata as a result of the activity of the transpiration. The water vapors that transpires through the stomatal pores. The loss of the water from the mesophyll cells causes the decrease the water potential, so that the water moves as a pull from the cell to cell along the water potential gradient. We know that one. So along these water potential gradients, the water will be evaporated. See here. Okay. So imagine that one here. A long halon glass tube rod, one at the end, which is submerged in the beaker of the water, and to be filled within the water, that is unbroken concentration connection between the water in the broken to the tube. So a thoroughly soaked sponge is placed on other end of the tube. So we will leave it to some time, which is the unbroken container of the water can be pulled up from that beaker. So this may be spreaded by upon the using fan or to move dry air condition. It will be increase the temperature of the area, that one. So it is the possible pull of the column water up as a tube without having the column. We cannot do that one. Okay. So the next one is the transpiration. So transpiration means the plants hardly use about 2% of the total water observed from the soil for their metabolism activities. The remaining 98% they are lost at the atmosphere by the process of the transpiration. We know that one. Only 2% of the water which is absorbed by the plant, they are to use to their physical activity, means physiological process, means metabolic activity. The remaining 98% which is lost in the form of the transpiration by the stomata. Okay. So the most of the water lost from the typical leaves is lost by the diffusion of the water vapor through the tiny pores that is called as the stomata. Stomatal complex are there. The pores are commonly called as the stomata. We know that one. These is surrounded by the two guard cells. The guard cells are specialized epidermal cells. Their adjacent cells are usually one to several other modified epidermal cells are called as subsidiary cells or accessory cells. The stomata together within the guard cells and subsidiary cells known as the total that called as the stomatal complex or stomatal aperture. In dicot, the guard cells are kidney in shape, whereas the grasses means monocots, they are in the form of the dumbbell bill shaped guard cells are there. Okay. So these guard cells are contained if some chloroplasts are there. These chloroplasts they are a significant role in the opening and closing of the stomata. So the cells of the guard cells are thick walls in the stomatal pore, where the thinner on the other side. So this is the the how the transpiration is goes through the stomata. So next one is the stomatal movement. How the stomata will move in the open during the daytime and close at night time. We know that one of the plants. Stomatas are open at the daytime and closed at the night time. Main concentration of the carbon dioxide is necessary for the photosynthesis. We know that one. So some members are the succulent plants, for example, cacti and bryophyllum. These stomatas are closed during the uh, at the daytime and open during the night time. Those are the succulent plants. So in the carbon dioxide enter to the stomata and get fixed into the organic compounds, means acids are there during the daytime stomata. When the opens the guard cell absorb the water from the surrounding epidermal cells and develop the turgor pressures. So that's why the result is turging of the series of the reopens that result to the opening of the stomata. It was throughout the absorption of water by the guard cells is caused by the accumulation of the solutes, hence the development of the more negative osmotic potential. Mean here the ion fluxases are involved in the opening and closing the stomata, which are potassium and chlorine ions. When the potassium and chlorine ions are moved into the guard cells, are equal number of the hydrogen, which is moved outside. These equations, these rays, where does the hydrogen ions are comes from? Depending on the potassium and chlorine ions are there to opening and closing the stomata. Okay. So the next topic is the mineral nutritions. What are the mineral nutritions are there? Second unit, that was the mineral nutritions are there. We discussed that one. The study how the plants are obtained and use the minerals nutrients called as the plant mineral nutrition. So we know that all living organisms are derived their raw material from the external environment to perform their metabolic activities. You know that one. That is the carbon, hydrogen, oxygen. These are the essential mineral nutrition. They are to obtain from the their surroundings. So these inorganic nutrition in the plants is called as the mineral nutrition. So these mineral nutrition, they are observed by the plants as a passive activity or active methods. Passive or active methods are there. So what about here? 106 elements are there. They are the about around the 106. Only out of this one, only 80 elements are available in the plants. So here the facts, they are described the how the minerals nutrition they are involved in the plant growth, how their differentiation and their activities and properties they are described by these facts only. Facts is the German botanist. He described the classification and criteria of the mineral nutrition. Okay, so what are the mineral nutrition here? The elements must be essential for the normal growth and reproduced by the plants in the absence and growth and reproduction not be affected. That is the first criteria. And another criteria is the requirement of the elements in the specific and it cannot be replaced by the other element. And third one is the element plays a direct role in the plant metabolism. These three criteria we discuss the essential elements are not in the plant nutrition. Okay. So what is the role of the elements in the plant nutrition? When certain elements are not available in the soil, the plants develop certain deficiency symptoms are characterized to itself, from it should be the possible to determine the role of the elements in the plant nutrition. Sometimes these symptoms may be due to the absence or more or in more than one element. This kind of the situations occurred in the alkaline soils only. So here the deficiency symptoms may be present in the root system and some aerial system. We will also observe that one. So here in the nutritions, they are described the two types of the nutritions are there. That is the macronutrients. Another one is the micronutrients. Okay. Two types of the plant nutritions are there. That is the micronutrients and macronutrients. So those are in the large quantity. Those are involved in the large quantity. That one we call as the macronutrients. That is example in the nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, and sulfur, magnesium, calcium. This is called as a macronutrients. Those are involved in the large quantity in the plant metabolism. First one, we discuss the nitrogen. This is available in the form of the nitrates and ammonia salts in the soil and molecular nitrogen from the atmosphere. So the nitrogen deficiency is very common in the almost all types of the soils. Okay, and whatever the nitrates, ammonium salts are present in the soil are easily they are lost to both through the leaching by the rainwater in the soil. We discuss that one. The nitrogen is a constant in the number of organic compounds like amino acids, proteins, and coenzymes, nucleic acids. These are there. And the chlorophylls also. Chlorophyll is the unique to the plant kingdom, which is the have the 4 nitrogen atoms are there in the chlorophyll. The nitrogen plays an important role in the metabolism of the different types of the metabolisms of the plant. When the nitrogen is present, very small amount of the soil, and the plant growth is which is the arrested. When the nitrogen is available in the abundance of the soil, plant shows the excessive vegetative growth, and the plant appear in the dark green color, but the root system is poorly developed. In several crops, plants excessive nitrogen to retard the flowering and seeding formation. These certain plants where the abundance of the nitrogen, the favor flowering are there. The next macronutrient, that is the phosphorus. These elements enter into the plants as a phosphate ion. It is then converted into the organic form. The molecule contain the phosphorus are many like sugar phosphates and nucleotides, nucleic acids, and some coenzymes like NADP and energy-rich compounds like ATP, ADP, and phosphorus also. Means nothing but DNA and RNA also constitute these phosphorus. So the deficiency of phosphorus result to stunted growth, means small growth is occurred in these plants, and that is the color also contrast in the nitrogen deficiency. Sometimes they may be result in the accumulation of the anthocyanin pigments. The maturity of the plant may be delayed. In the maize plant and tomato, phosphorus deficiency leads to the pulping of the leaves on the lower side of the near the veins. The phosphates are easily to transport inside the plant body. It is easily lost from the old leaves to young leaves. As a result, the symptoms of deficiency are the first seen in the old leaves. The next one is the potassium. So the potassium is present in large quantities in the soil. You know that one. Even though the plant lacks in this element in the large quantities, this does not form the suitable for part of any compound, uh, as is this case in the nitrogen and phosphorus. Okay. So many metabolism processes like respiration, protein synthesis are the known to require the large amount of these potassium microelements. Means macroelement, that one. This is well known to the plant deficient in the potassium content, low protein and higher level of the amino acids are there. So some enzymes depend on the potassium ion. It is the activates the enzymes by causing the conformation of the changes in these enzyme protein. The potassium is the required for the regulatory enzyme like pyruvate kinase and phosphofructokinase, starch synthetase, and it is also involved in the membrane-bound ATPase is also activates the ATPase enzyme also. So these potassium they play in a key role in the opening and closing stomata. Previously we discussed that one. Potassium ions is also involved in the closing and opening the stomata. According to the modern concept of the transport of the potassium into the guard cells, so this is the active mechanism involved in the ATP. So some legume plants, the deficiency, white patches appear on the leaves. So these plants stems such as the weak in structure, these cells are pith region. This is tend to get broken. That's why they are weak in structure. So another one is the sulfur. So sulfur nutrition, macronutrition. So sorry, that is the so mainly involved this one. That is the hydroponics also. So sulfur and magnesium and this calcium is also they are the macro elements. The calcium this has the different binding forms in uh, the cells of the plants. So that higher concentration of the calcium is found in the plant cells. That is the in vacuoles also. In addition, these elements are present in the middle lamella between the two cell walls, and the calcium pectate is present. The calcium is essential is also due to the calcium. These for the membrane, the stability of the cell integrity. The root is required of the calcium is 100 times, so that is the shoot system. The calcium helps to the legumes in the formation of the root nodules. The groundnut needs the calcium for the growth of the gynophore, which is pushes the fruit into the soil. So calmadium is the calcium binding protein, which is the involved in the many biochemical reactions. So the calcium deficiency leads to reduce the mitochondria in the cells. In some cotton plants, the calcium deficiency leads to accumulation of the starch in the leaves and depletion of the some stems and roots also. The calcium may also helps in the transport the some suitable means some soluble starch. So another one is the magnesium. This magnesium is also very essential in the synthesis of the chlorophyll. Okay. Another elements are the micro elements are there. That is the iron and manganese, molybdenum, zinc, copper. These are the micro elements, micronutrients. That one, which are the very small quantity are utilized by the plant. Okay. So first one is the iron. The plants absorb iron in the form of the ferric and ferrous. There are two forms are there, which is the metabolic activity in the ferrous only. The iron deficiency leads to the inhibition of the chlorophyll synthesis. Iron is the essential atom in the synthesis of catalyzing the reaction in leading the chlorophyll synthesis. So iron is the cofactor for the several enzymes like catalase, peroxidase, nitrogenase, and sulfur dioxide diastmate. The electron carrier like cytochrome and peroxides contain iron. The cytochrome have the role which is play in the both respiration and photosynthesis reactions. Next element is the manganese. The manganese is absorbed by the plant in the form of the manganese ions. These are play an important role in the photosynthesis and respiration is also. The chloroplast membrane contains much of the cellular manganese. Okay. So the next one is the molybdenum. This molybdenum is the component of the certain enzymes like nitrate reductase and nitrogenase and xanthine oxidase. They are mainly involved in these molybdenum micronutrients. It is playing the structural and catalytic role in the these enzymes. The molybdenum is closely related to the nitrogen metabolism. This is the requirement of the molybdenum depend on the nitrogen source only. Okay. So another one is the uh, so another one is the zinc. So zinc is a micronutrition. It is the integral part of the several enzymes where it is the catalytic, co-catalytic and structural and functional also. Okay. So it is an activator of the some enzymes and play an important role in the nucleic acid metabolism and protein synthesis. Other one is the auxin metabolism is also. Okay. The zinc deficiency in the many plants such as the tobacco, tomato, and mustard, sunflower, which is leads the a little leaf disease. Its leaf became a small in size and narrow in structure. Some plants leaves are at the top, which is shows an mottled chlorosis and curved in downwards. So this is called as a rosette appearance is there. In other leaves are the shade early. In these older leaves, in the whitish chlorosis stretches appears between the veins. Okay. Another element is the copper. This element is observed in the form of the copper and cupric ion states. The copper is an important redox component directly related to the electron transformation in the photosynthesis. also respirational also. Okay. So the copper deficiency, which is leads the young leaves became a dark green in color and get twisted and lose their shapes. In extreme cases, the leaves are shed and the plant looks and dried structure. In the citrus gardens and copper deficiency, there are two leads. The disease called the dieback disease in the citrus plant. So which is occurred in the young leaves only will be died. In the trees like apple, pear, citrus, this deficiency result in the formation of the blisters on the bark, from which are the gum exudates, and this disease is called the exanthema. There exudates the gum-like material. Blisters are formed in the trunk, means bark. That one will call as exanthema. So another one is the boron and chlorine, nickel. Boron, nickel. These are also essential micro elements are there. The nickel function of the in higher plants was first observed by the Dixon in 1975. So in leguminous plants, which is required the nickel in their growth. So the nickel is also required in the hydrogenase and methyl reductase activity. So nickel deficiency in the cowpea plants, they are accumulate the large amount of the urea in the tips of the leaves. The root and shoot growth are decreased in size, which is developed and the interval chlorosis and necrosis. Deficiency of the nickel. So boron is also essential organ, essential micro elements. Okay, this is the madam. So in the so what are the methods for the studying the plant nutrition? So how the analysis, that one, that is the chemical analysis of the plants. These elements in the plant body could be determined by this method only. So the plant pots are heated around the 80 degrees temperature, and they remove the water and the remainder called the dry matter, that one, and which is heated around the 600 to 700 temperature in the organic decomposes and converts into ash. That one observed in the atomic absorption spectrometer. There are two. How the elements are content in the carbon is around 45 percentage are there, oxygen 43, hydrogen is the 6 percentage in the plants. The calcium is around 0.13, 3.5. So different concentrations are there. So next one is the hydroponics. What is the hydroponics? See here, the hydroponics means this is a technique which is involved the without soil. Means this one is the hydroponics are there. So this is the technique to cultivate the plants in the water culture only without soil. That process is called as the hydroponics. This term with hydroponics is given by the Gleirich. The nutritional solutions made by the using the salts contain all the requirement elements in the particular concentrations are there. Okay. So it was the latter is observed that many plants grow such as matter, and the oxygen is also supplied to the roots in the form of the air bubbles into the solution. So the plants the grows in such a way that the root system is present in the container having the nutrient media, while the shoot system is outside of the giving support the mouth of the container. So they are always suitable for the vegetables like tomato, radish, and lettuce. These are very suitable in the cultivation, that is the hydroponics techniques. So some disadvantages also there in this method, as the roots are submerged in the water air that has constantly supplied by the forcing the air bubbles through the solution, and so that oxygen reach to root. And the other one is the note we need to change the solution once a few days or some even the daily also. We have to exchange that one, and the pH medium uh, and to ions also, some ions also rapidly. So both increase the pH and solution is, that is the ions and related to the solutions. Okay, this result to reduction the availability ion and magnesium and zinc ion. So this is the technique, hydroponics technique. Metal toxicity is also involved in the plant growth. That is the lead, cadmium, and aluminum. These are the toxic elements identified in the plant also. So these cadmium and lead, this aluminum, this is the other accumulation in the root, and some those equal concentration both in the root and stems also. Okay, so this is the topic involved in the what are there, that is the water soil uh, water plant relation and some mineral nutrition are there. Okay, clear? Hello? Okay, clear? Okay. So thank you everybody. The next class we discuss another topic. Okay. Thank you one and all.